Jesus was betrayed, he took his closest friends, and they experienced the Passover meal together. And he started out by taking bread. And he broke the bread, and he told them, this is my body, which is broken for you. I want you to do this in remembrance of me. And then he took a cup. It wasn't just any cup. In the Passover meal, there were different cups for different things, and he took the third one, which is the cup of redemption, or the cup of salvation. And as he took the cup of salvation, there was a prayer that went along with it. But Jesus didn't do the ordinary with the cup. Jesus took the cup of salvation, and he told him, this is a new covenant in my blood. Take and drink. The only problem was the disciples heard something far different. For the disciples, when Jesus took the glass of wine and held it out to them and told them to take and drink, what they were hearing is, I love you, will you marry me? Which to a group of Jewish men sitting in a room meant an awful lot, because what he was saying is, I give you my life. And for them, had they taken the cup and drank, they were saying, I accept your life and I give you my life. It was marriage language. And so in that moment, when he says, this is a new covenant in my blood, take and drink. When they took and they drank, what they were saying is, I accept your life and I give you my life. You see, the language that is used in that Lord's Supper, as we call it, or the Last Supper, or communion, the language that's used there, culturally, fell into this category of marriage. And you would have a young Jewish boy, and he would come to his father, and he would say, hey, Dad, I found a girl. This is the one that I want to make little rabbis with. And he would say, well, son, and this is what we got to do. And they would go to this girl's house, and they would sit with the dad. And the dads would begin to negotiate. And the one dad's like, well, I'll give you 30 camels, and no, she's worth 40. And so between the two of them, they start to hash out how many camels this girl's going to cost. And we hear that, and we think, man, this is barbaric. Who does this? Other than what was really taking place is they were settling on a price. And the price really only gave the guy a chance to marry this girl. Because what would happen next is, once the price was decided, they would go back to their village or town or house, wherever it was, and they would collect whatever the bride price happened to be. If it was 30 camels, they'd come rolling back with their 30 camels. And then the families would get together in the same room. And as they sat in the same room at the table, the groom would take a glass and he would fill it with wine, and he would slide it across the table, and he would say to the girl, this is my covenant. Will you marry me? And as he passed the glass across, he was saying, I give you my life. And she would have a choice at that point. She could refuse the glass, or if she accepted it and took it and drank of it, what she was saying is, in turn, I accept your life and I give you mine. Yes, I will. I do. Marry you. I choose you. What would happen next is the groom would roll out from there and go back to his town. And he made a promise to the girl. I'm going to go and I'm going to build you a mansion. I'm going to prepare a place for you. We hear mansion, we think very different. What a mansion was on the father's house. You would build an extension. It was an apartment. And so he would go and he was going to prepare this apartment for his bride. And as he was preparing the apartment, they would have no communication other than he would send his best man across to her village or her house, wherever she was, and the best man would relay messages back and forth. It's kind of like the old days text messaging. And so she was here, and she had no clue when he was coming. You see, because she didn't get to set the date. But in her surroundings, she was known as, by everybody around, one who was bought with a price. And so now over in his village, as he's preparing this place, he didn't know the time when he was done because it was all dependent upon his father. And when his father decided that it was time, his father would tell him, go get your bride. Then he would gather up his groomsmen and he would roll across to whatever side of town or whatever village, and as he was going, they would take the shofars and they would blow the ram's horns as they came into the village, announcing that the groom has come to claim his bride. And then she would leave with him and they would begin life together. Does this draw any pictures? You see, Jesus took the cup and he offered it to his disciples and he said, this is my new covenant. My new covenant in my blood. Take, drink. And as they took and drank, they said, we accept your life and we give you ours. And then in John 14, after that, it says, Jesus tells them, I'm going to go and prepare a place for you. I'm going to go and prepare a place. And we're not going to be together because I'm going to be here preparing this place, but I am going to come back. But in the meantime, I'm going to send my best man. I'm going to send a messenger. I'm going to send the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit will tell you things on my behalf. And so even though you're here and we're separated, you will have my Spirit with you. Jesus said, I don't even know the time and the date. That's for my Father to decide. But in the meantime, while you are here, I want you to know that you are one bought with a price. That when I said my life, I gave my life. I paid for you. I bought you. You are my bride and I will come back for you. And then there's going to be a day in the future when the Father says, it's done. Go get your bride. And God and Jesus is going to roll out of heaven with all his angels and he's going to come and there's going to be a blowing of trumpets and he's going to claim his bride and take them home. You see, so when we sit with the cup, Jesus is inviting you. He's saying, I'm giving you my life. In return, when you take and drink, what you're saying is, I accept your life and I give you mine. For the early church, as they met together with these radically transformed lives, what they were reminding themselves is, we are the bride of Christ. And he is coming back for us. And so as you take the cup, and Jesus raises his head to you, so to speak, and he says, this is the new covenant in my blood. Take and drink. And as you drink, what you are saying back is, your life for my life. I accept. God, we are so thankful. God, that you have saved us. God, that we are your bride, that you are coming back for. That we are those that have been radically transformed through your death, burial, and resurrection. That we have new life, God. That we are called to be witnesses and you have given your Spirit to empower us, to speak to us, to speak through us. God, may we live like those that have been radically transformed. May we live like those that have been bought with a price. God, may we never settle for anything less than showing people who we really are. So Jesus, we love you and we thank you for your sacrifice. That we are radically transformed from the inside out. May we live out of the power of your Spirit alone, as we are witnesses to this community